Hey there, welcome back to the Great Canadian Blueprint. I'm Ian, your guide through Canada's economic past, and today we're diving into the immigration stories of two powerhouses, Toronto and Ottawa. Toronto, being Canada's financial juggernaut, and Ottawa, the nation's capital, have been shaped by waves of immigrants who brought ambition, skill, and diversity to fuel the growth. As a RE/MAX real estate agent in Hamilton, Ontario, I'm exploring Canada's history to uncover what made it into what it is today. So, let's jump in. Toronto and Ottawa's stories begin in the late 18th and early 19th century, when British and Irish immigrants laid their economic roots. Toronto, founded as York in 1793, welcomed United Empire Loyalists fleeing the American Revolution. The 1787 Toronto Purchase secured land from the Mississaugas, sparking settlement and trade. Ottawa, established as Bytown in 1826, grew around the timber trade, pioneered by Philemon Wright in 1806, and the Rideau Canal's construction from 1826 to 1832, which employed Irish and French Canadian laborers. By 1851, Bytown's population was 7,800, with timber exports worth an estimated $1 million yearly. British settlers in Toronto established trade and governance, with Irish immigrants fleeing the 1840s potato famine, provided labor for construction and railways. In Ottawa, Irish canal workers and British administrators drove early growth, with the canal costing $1.2 million in boosting trade. As the 19th century progressed, Toronto and Ottawa welcomed diverse European immigrants, fueling industrial and economic expansion. Toronto saw Italians, Jews, Germans arrive, while Ottawa attracted more Irish and French Canadians, with smaller Jewish and Chinese communities. Toronto's manufacturing sector, including textiles and machinery, grew to $20 billion by 1920, driven by immigrant labor. Ottawa's economy, centered on timber and government, reached $10 million by 1900, with the designation as Canada's capital in 1857 spurring civil service jobs. Toronto's population hit 208,000 by 1901. Pushing lot prices to $5,000 in areas like Cabbagetown. Ottawa, with 60,000 residents, saw land value reach $2,000 in Centretown, with immigrant neighborhoods like the Glebe merging. Post-World War II, both cities saw massive immigration, particularly from Europe, followed by Asian, Caribbean, and African newcomers after the 1967 point-based immigration system. Toronto became Canada's financial hub, with Ottawa emerging as Silicon Valley North. Toronto welcomed Italians, 120,000 by 1920, Poles, and Germans post-World War II, boosting the automotive industry. Ottawa's European influx, including Dutch and Italians, supported government growth, with public service jobs. Post-1967, both cities saw arrivals from China, India, the Philippines, and Africa, with Toronto hosting 40% of Canada's immigrants by 2000. Ottawa's tech sector employed 10,000 by 1990, generating $5 billion. Toronto's financial sector, including banks and the Toronto Stock Exchange, grew to $100 billion by 2000, with immigrants driving 30% of the workforce. Ottawa's government and tech sectors contributed $75 billion to its economy by 2023, with immigrants filling 20% of roles. Toronto's population soared to 2.48 million people by 2001, with home prices rising from $30,000 in the 1950s to $110,000 in 1985 and 1.42 million in 2024. Ottawa's population hit 270,000 people in 1961 and a million by 2021. With home prices going from $13,000 in 1956 to $675,000 in 2024. Neighborhoods like Toronto's Little Italy and Ottawa's Canada reflect immigrant-driven growth. Today, Toronto and Ottawa are still multicultural hubs. In 2021, Toronto's 55.7% visible minority population includes South Asians, Chinese, and Black Canadians, contributing $50 billion to tech and services. Ottawa's 28.4% visible minority drive government and tech, adding $20 billion. Festivals like Toronto's Carabana, generating $200 million annually, and Ottawa's Winterlude, making $150 million annually, highlight cultural contributions. Immigrants built Toronto and Ottawa, from early trade in timber to modern finance and tech. Their contribution, $20 billion in manufacturing and $100 billion in finance, drove real estate booms, with prices soaring from thousands to millions. Today's diversity fuels vibrant economies, but affordability challenges loom. So what's next? How can Toronto and Ottawa balance immigrant-driven growth and affordable housing? Share your thoughts. Thanks for watching the Great Canadian Blueprint. Hit like and subscribe for our next dive into Canada's economic story.